Hey, I'm your host, Anthony Tank Mansfield, and with me today is
Jason Erler.
and this is What You Into.
What you into? What you into?
Hey, man, what's going on? Listener, welcome back to the show. Jason, welcome to the show for the first time, man. Welcome to the basement.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. You mentioned that you've been in the basement before, but it was in its previous incarnation, so now you get like the glow up version of it.
Oh, it's gorgeous down here. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, it was. We did have that nice, sweet '70s basement with the yellow wood paneling. We had some carpeting. It was low tread, but it was still there.
Yeah.
But now, we changed it up.
We drew some pictures.
We drew some pictures and made some art. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do in the basement. That's what we're talking about today. Today is the art episode.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, man. And I got really excited when you reached it because we're kind of going back and forth. And I remember being like, "Hey, would you like to come on the show sometime?" Just because I know you as a cool dude, you know. And I'm like, and I was like, "You got any collections or hobbies?" And you're just kind of like, "I don't know." And then you reached out to me. What? Maybe a few months later, and what'd you hit me with?
Well, I'm not a big collector of things or, even people like to have these experiences. They collect experiences by traveling. And I thought I'd like to contribute somehow. But the thing that I thought that I contribute the most or that I collect the most is new ways of finding new ways to make art, whether that's new styles or new ways of thinking about art or anything. I'll try anything. So that's why I reached out.
Yeah, and I thought that was a very cool thing to talk about because as a fellow lifelong artist, like the whole thing of work and how it changes over time and the evolution of it, or you're going through the maze and you hit a wall and now you got to back out. Like that's what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be a pretty deep dive into making art, the process of art making, presenting art, and just evolution of art and, that time period. Listener, if you want to join along with us on this expedition, you can go check out Jason's IG page, Jason_Erler, Jason_Erler_art is where you can find him at on IG. Dude, I'm fucking up left and right today.
It's all right.
And of course, as always, I'll have that IG linked in the show notes. So if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you can open it right there on your phone, click the link, boom, go right to his IG. And that's what the show's going to be about, where his IG goes back for about 11 years now.
Yeah.
And so you can see the evolution of the artwork that we're talking about on today's episode while we talk about it. And I'm sure we'll be talking about my stuff as well. You can find me on IG as well. At Neil to No One is where I'm at on there. At 6 Boards as well. And neiltoknoone.com. But just go to my IG because if you go there, you click the link to my link tree, you'll get all my shit. All right, man. So first time on a podcast.
Yep.
All right, let's not dive in. Like let's not do like a head first thing. Let's wade in. Let's go to the 3 foot into the pool,
All right.
and let's just kind of walk down the ladder. Let's talk dogs.
Oh, I love dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? I know there are people out there, but
I know I don't get it. I when I meet people that don't like dogs, I just look at them like, what the fuck?
Right?
Like, what is happening here?
or when people ignore dogs on the street, like if you're out on the street with your dog and people just address you without addressing your animal, I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
just gotta say hi to my dog, dude.
You should probably talk to the dog before you talk to me.
Right?
Because that's what I do. Whenever I meet people with dogs, I'm always like, here's what I do. I do talk to the person first. I go, hey, can I pet your dog? And then immediately then I'm talking to the dog.
Right. Because the dog it's like it's the introduction to the person.
Yeah.
Right. Somehow it's you talk to the dog first for a minute, and then you can talk to the person a little better. I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. And just dogs are happy to see you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you come to my house or I come to your house and there's a dog there, I know that uh, I'm in that dog's space, right? That's a big thing at our house. Like if somebody comes to our house and the dog jumps or the dog is really excited to see you, I'd never stop the dog. I'm just like, go ahead. You're on your own because
You came to the dog's house.
you came to the dog house, right?
I'm always amazed how many people don't know about like just kind of like putting a knee forward or anything like when they jump, like just kind of like stand your ground a little bit and just like in kind of the push down, like hey, like
Right.
no,
There's a
chill,
right.
Like
There's
and dogs are that's kind of the way the voice command does work on them, but they also learn a lot from each other of just like being touched and herded and stuff like that. So if you're just kind of hey, don't do that, they're pretty cool.
right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of being at a party and there's a dog. I will just go hang out with the dog.
That's me every time on the floor with the dog. The
Yeah.
dog will bring the toy. Yeah, I'm definitely that guy too. I would much rather spend the time with the dog usually at a party.
Yeah, well, I get worried because like sometimes like you're at the party and nobody's paying attention to the dog. It's like, what are we just ignoring the fact there's a dog here? Like,
Right.
come on,
He's here to party too.
yeah,
right?
let's get this guy some pets.
Right.
Get some belly rubs going. Do you have any specific breeds that you like, or are you, or is there any dogs that you're fond of?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like every dog, so it doesn't matter to me. But my wife and I have had two Great Pyrenees in the course of our being together. Yeah, and they're you sometimes you find a breed or a dog or a type of dog that kind of connects with your lifestyle, and that has always been Great Pyrenees, and we really do. We're on our second English Bulldog now, and they're something else. That's like having a goblin at your house. It's crazy.
English Bulldogs definitely have their own personality and what they do and what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not graceful,
Nope.
but somehow they can skateboard, or at least some of them can.
And everyone that we've had likes to also get up on tables. Like it'll get on a chair and then get up on the table and just lay down on the table.
Farts of death.
Farts of death, absolutely.
Yeah, those things can blow up a room.
And the snoring. The bulldog snoring helps me to sleep.
Same.
It'll make me go to sleep.
Yeah, my Boston Terrier that I had snored before this, and Jet also snores, and so to me it's white noise. Like
Yeah.
I like bully breeds. I'm a big fan. But across the board, I like English, French, Americans. I like Staffies. I like Pits. I like the dudes, the Spuds McKinsey guys.
Oh, I forgot what those are called.
Oh
too.
shit.
Is it the Staffordshire?
No, they're not Staffordshire. They're damn it. And now I feel really bad because my friend that listens to the show, she usually fosters them.
Oh,
Oh man, what are those fucking dogs called? Hold on.
I'll never remember.
See that? All right. Well, we'll listener, we'll get answers here in a minute. I know that somebody is in their car right now, smacking their steering wheel and yelling. Those are called bull terriers.
Bull terriers.
Bull terriers. Okay, at least we didn't say it and then
Right.
got it wrong. We just completely got it wrong. But yeah, I like those dudes. They're cool.
Yeah, they're pretty chill.
They got crazy heads.
Yes. Weird heads. Have you ever seen a Basenji? Like
No.
they're Egyptian dogs that don't bark. They have no
Oh.
voice for some reason. And they have similar like angular chisel head. I don't
Really?
know what else to call it.
Yeah, it looks like something like sewing a football inside of a dog's head. Like I don't know exactly what the fuck's going on there, but it's got its own thing going. Yeah, I like those dudes. I like the corgis are growing on me. They're super cute. And the Japanese dogs, like the Shiba Inus or whatever they're called.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, those guys are cool looking.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Before we went to go pick out Shirley, our new dog, we rescued her. I went in with the intention of getting. I'm going to sound like a 90-year-old man here. I wanted just a tiny little yappy white dog with like shit under its eye and smells bad breath and you go in.
Always got a stain on the beard.
Oh yeah. That's what I wanted. Like I just wanted something that would just, like I could pick up and take with me
Yeah,
to the
portable.
studio. Yeah. And that's not what happened at all. I love those little weird little mutts like that just they have those ones have a kind of have the most independence. Like they just want to go do things and then they'll come back. The bulldog is always just like, as soon as I come, it's either zero is sleeping, or if I come in the room, it's losing its fucking shit all over. It's just like, oh my God, you're here. Like for 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're so excited.
Yeah.
Well, and they love people.
Yeah.
Like bullies just love people. They like being around people. They're entertaining. They're funny.
Yeah. And they know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
know. The new bulldog is still getting used to the house. It has fallen off the bed in the middle of the night twice. Like straight up snoring, rolled off the bed, thump. Like I feel bad for her, but she just gets right back up and gets up on the bed and goes right back to sleep. Like nothing ever. She was like, excuse me. That's it.
Just drop and come back.
Right?
Just, what are you going to do? It happens.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So we have to situate her in the middle instead of on the outer edge.
Oh, yes. The point where you get to where not only are you sleeping with the dogs, but you have to strategically place dogs.
And you have not just that, you have to strategically place the dog, but the timing of that. Like, all right, you're going to get into the bed first, and then we're going to get the dog onto the bed, and then I'm going to get in to block her. Right? There's a whole
There's a system.
twister situation happening. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we'll get the other dog on the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% exactly how this works.
Yeah.
Are you anti-cat?
No, I love cats.
I like cats as well.
Yeah, my wife is allergic to cats.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. And since we kind of moved out to the country last year, and she's like, well, if you want a cat, we can get one. We have a big enough, it can maybe just hide upstairs or something. And I just don't want to, I don't want to do that. I feel bad. I would feel bad for the cat and my wife. Because then she would just be sneezing all the time, and the cat would just be hiding from
Yes.
the maniacal dogs all the time.
I like to pet them. I enjoy interacting with them. When friends of the show, Jamie and Allison, go on vacation, I take care of their cats. I did that last week, and I love all three of their cats. They're super cool. The only problem is like if I pet them and I don't wash my hands immediately afterwards, then I start sneezing and red eye and all that.
Oh.
And I just know that that would be like if I had a cat, that's gonna be the situation where the hair, and then I'm just gonna be living in a constant mode of that. But yeah, big fan of cats. Wish I could be around one more.
Me too. I had cats before. When you're younger and you're single and you live in apartments, you can get a cat and you don't have to, you can go out after work. You don't have to hurry home and let the cat to walk the cat.
Right. Yeah.
The cat doesn't really mind if you're not there as often.
No, cats are very independent. They
Yeah.
can take care of themselves. Like, just make sure you throw them some water and get them a bit of food.
Right.
But other than that, they're pretty independent creatures.
Right. But they like the attention when you do get home and sleeping on the pillow and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there is that too, where cats do have that side of like, okay, you may pet me now.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
They tell you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. As opposed to dogs where it's like, oh my God, you're here.
Right. Forever.
Where have you been?
Where have you been?
Did you fall? Did a space rift open? How long have you been gone? I had no concept of time.
I just checked the mail.
Yeah. It's like, dude, chill. It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I went down the lane. I came back. Everything's fine.
I'm sorry you couldn't come with me on this one particular trip.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was out of eyesight.
Right?
Well, look, man, let's get into the main part of the show tonight. So let's talk. Let's start talking art stuff. So when did you start creating art? Like, do you remember the time period or when it was? Like, was it straight from crayons, or was there a moment where you're like, oh, I'm kind of good at this?
It was straight from crayons. I've always drawn pictures. I can tell you when I knew that I respected art. Living in Northwest Indiana and growing up there, we had pretty good ease of access to the museums of Chicago.
Nice.
And we went there very often. Most, 3 or 4 times a year, probably, to the Art Institute and the modern art, the contemporary art.
Were you going with your family, or were you going on school trips?
Both.
Okay.
Definitely both. My family, definitely, we went a lot. And I remember seeing Picasso paintings, and you go and you see the big paintings, and they're the big Jesus paintings and all the religious paintings, and then you see the painting with all the dots, the day in the park, the things that artists, museums are famous for. But then when you start getting into the nooks and the crannies of the museums, then you realize how big these things are by themselves. Because you go into this giant room and you're little, and these big Jesus paintings are big, and you expect that, I think, because churches are big. So everything has to be gigantic.
Yeah.
But then when you get into the secular stuff, and a Picasso painting of a woman that is not realistic, and it's gigantic, because usually, you're used to seeing an image on a page somewhere,
Right.
and it's tiny. When you see these things, I remember looking at it when I was younger and just being blown away, right? But I don't think that is what made me want to be an artist as an adult necessarily.
Were your parents artists?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, but they were interested in art enough to like take you there. Was it for them? Was it like they enjoyed the art too? Or was it a cultural thing? We're trying to like culture up our son.
I don't think it was purposefully that, but I definitely think that they were cultured enough to say this is something that's important, right? We need to see, we need to make sure that you see these things because they are important. Man, yeah.
So okay, so then you're seeing this stuff, and then you're drawing yourself. Like, are you trying to mimic the stuff that you're seeing, or are you drawing cartoons? Like, what are you starting to make?
I think that like every young person, when you do what you can with the tools that you have mentally and physically, right? I drew race cars. I drew, I did draw cartoons, things like that all through, grade school but no teacher ever said, "Hey, you need to be an artist." For the first part of my life, I thought I was going to be a musician. Like that was my goal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
What,
that was.
what instruments were you playing?
I played saxophone from 7th grade to senior year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Were you in marching band?
yeah,
Right on.
yeah. That was not my favorite part. But we, you had to do it.
Right.
I didn't hate it. It was, there was a lot of friendships made during
It's like marching band, jazz band kind of thing.
marching band, jazz band, symphonic band. Yeah, that was a major part of my life, through junior high school and high school.
So were you practicing that more than making art?
Yes. But again, always sketching, always drawing. I always got sketchbooks and pencils from relatives. I mean, I did have my uncle still to this day is a impressionist oil painter, but I never thought that that's what I would end up doing as a goal, right? I think to me that the arts are an umbrella that have no, like, I never wanted to stay in one circle of things, right? As much as I loved music and the structure of music, by the time I was hitting 18 years old and it was, the early 90s, things were really starting to explode experimentally for me personally, and the access to experimental electronic music and stuff like this. I thought that I was going to be doing film scores. Like that was my goal in high school. Yeah, but still always drawing, always sketching. I didn't really start painting seriously until I was about 25.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was still drawing, right? I was still, graffiti was a big ordeal.
Okay.
Right.
So you were like you was going out like tagging stuff, like drawing stuff in sketchbooks and making things.
Yeah, it was, much more into the black book situation. And it wasn't out of fear of getting caught that we didn't go out. We just didn't have access to spray paint cans, The only way to get them was, to rack them, to steal them. And I may have gone along once or twice to see that happen, but I never took part in that. That was not my.
You're like you're like, man, I'm trying to play saxophone. I'm not trying to get put in the back of a cop
right.
car.
Yeah, no. not for scrawling my name somewhere.
So, okay, so as you're making this stuff, and so did you in your after high school? Did you go to college or anything, or like what?
No,
Okay,
no, I went straight to. I passed up the opportunity to go to college for music
okay,
because of I wanted to go to the city. Like I wanted to go to Chicago, and I thought I was going to be in a rock and roll band, right? Like I thought that's what I thought was going to be happening. By then I was playing guitar rather amateurishly. Again, I was still much more into the recording aspect and like the how does this work as opposed to how good does this sound, right? Um, and I moved to Chicago uh, and just tried to make music. Like I didn't even play at coffee shops or anything like that. Like I was much more. I thought Steve Albini and Big Black were the coolest fucking thing on the planet at that point. I was coming up on being 20, 21, and finding out that he had made that Big Black albums in his South Side Chicago basement. You know what I mean? Was astounding to me. I wanted to do that.
so even at this time, even when you're doing music, you're still operating in a singular creative space. Like you're not working with other people. You're solo making music.
Yeah, I have a, a mountain of Tascam 8-track tapes somewhere in a box of just a huge genre, all the genres of music possible. I tried to do everything. So yeah.
So you okay? Was it so? With that, was that a conscious choice for you to be like, I don't want to be in a band. I want to be by myself. Like, was that out of control? Was that out of like I didn't want to work with other people? I just moved to the city. Hadn't made friends. Like, what was the thing where you were like, I want to be a solo artist?
I think, and I think we'll see this as this conversation moves along.
Okay.
That I am not a great collaborator. I have never been. The worst phrase you could ever possibly tell me in an academic setting is, let's break out into groups. I will sink into my seat and disappear. Like I fucking hate it. Or I'll take complete control and not let anybody else do anything.
Yeah.
Those are the options.
I don't like speaking in medium sized groups. I like this. I like one on one, or I like small group. Like if we're at a bar or a restaurant and there's maybe like 4 to 6 of us. But man, anything other than that, where it starts getting bigger, I get lost in the mix, and especially if I don't know you. And
Oh yeah.
I tend to kind of lay in the back and watch.
Oh, and then Irish goodbye at the end.
Yeah.
Like I won't. I'll just. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in whenever you're in a new situation, listen more and talk less. And so if I don't know you and I'm in a group, like I'm definitely gonna listen instead of talk.
Right.
And because I want to figure out who the players on the board are before I start throwing weight around and like stepping on toes.
Right. I feel that entirely. I know that feeling. I do the same thing. I try to focus on, and it seems a little selfish, I guess, but I try to focus on something that I'm interested in when somebody says something that's not just inane chatter. And then when I get the chance, I'll be like, so what, tell me more about what X thing that you were talking about. Like I do like those interactions, but like you said, any more than 6 people or so, and I just
Yeah.
puff of smoke.
Well, and I think the problem is too, a lot of people don't ask questions. Like a lot of times you get in conversation with people and they just go on about themselves or something they're into, and they don't like take the time to try to interact with other people and ask and try to learn something.
Right. Dialogue, man.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. It's like there's a back and forth here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, listener, there's some tips on how to talk to people when you're out in public. So, all right, man. So, okay. So making music in Chicago, 25, start painting. Like, was this a transition from music, or was this, you were still making music, but then you started painting as well? What's going on here?
There was definitely the Venn diagrams definitely overlapped for a long time.
Okay.
At one point, I started making these tapes and then making, in my head, I'm making art for the music in a kind of way that those I wanted those things to start to mesh a little bit. Um, and and then I moved to Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay.
And in the God, that must have been 97, 97, 1997
Okay.
ish.
Bloomington's where IU's at, right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. Um, and I went there with a friend who was also a musician who I'd been making music with on and off for a very long time. And at one point we shared a house, and I was only, making music and just drawing a little bit. And then I moved by myself into this studio, and around the corner was this place called Pygmalion's, which no longer exists, unfortunately. And I went in and started buying markers and pencils, and I learned about better paper than just buying sketchbooks at Borders. And I started drawing in earnest, and really trying to learn why and how and form, and I wasn't going to school for these things, so I had to get these things from the library. I would get pose books from the library. This is before the internet. So and just drawing mostly figurative, mostly bodies. And then that turned into painting, and I was really obsessed with making these really long paintings of people and stretching them out as far as I could, like a roll of maybe 18-inch by 6 feet tall inch, and I would just paint on these things, and I had them hanging all over the apartment. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I think I might have some of those still.
It's interesting you say that, because that's something akin to like Mike Madak, who's a friend of ours.
Oh,
Like
sure.
his early stuff was that too, these super elongated women and figures and stuff. And I think people kind of get into that when you start working with figure drawing, because it's fun once you figure out the rules of figure drawing and like the measurements, and it's like, oh, cool, now I know how to fuck with this and distort it.
Right.
Because listener, here's secret to figure drawing: everything is as long as your foot.
Right.
That's it. So, listener, so basically, the human body breaks up by your foot. So, if you take your foot, and if you take a shoe, take your shoe right now and put it on your right forearm, it's going to go from your wrist to your elbow. So then that's your lower arm. Now, the same length is going to go from your elbow to your shoulder. So boom, there's an arm. Okay. And then the body goes head to clavicle, clavicle to waist, waist to groin, groin to knee, knee to top of the foot.
Right.
Doom. Okay, that's how you figure draw.
Right. And then you're absolutely you hit the nail on the head. And I think that's a stage of every artist's growth, right? You learn those things, and then that's when the joy starts to come in. You can start really distorting it and messing with it, and shaping these people and figures however you want them.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, sorry to cut you off, but to agree, it's the learning of the rules, and then once you learn the rules, then you can like touch and twist, and you can fuck with the rules once you get the rules.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's gonna be good, but you
Right.
can do it, and you can do shit with that.
That's right. And I felt I could visually do that much better than I could musically. I started to feel really confined by music, by the notes, and by I didn't have the training, right, that I wanted. You know, musical theory and knowing everything to know about like what a jazz musician might know. To me that's mind blowing.
But I also think that speaks to where we were at the time in the world, where, today, if you were to be an 18-year-old kid that was trying to figure out how to make music at your house, it's very simple to do.
Right.
You pop on YouTube, you get a Beats machine, you get a pad, and, you download some software. You're able to import any kind of guitar tone or drum track that you want, and then just start, fucking Frankenstein it all together, and boom, you got music.
Right. And then it was very frustrating because I remember I had a sampler, an ASR 10. It was a huge ordeal to get this thing, and it was a beautiful machine. And I'm usually the kind of guy who I'll read the I'll read the instructions on how to work the fucking remote, right? But the instruction manual for this thing was like a textbook for a 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Like I couldn't understand the language at all because it was mostly computer language. It was 3x5 discs that it used to store everything. And I had a basic knowledge of how this machine worked, but it just started to become frustrating and heading into a place that I didn't want to go, I think, as far as making music was. So I abandoned it.
So you start making art instead. It's while you're in Bloomington. Then at some point you end up here. Like when do you end up in Cincinnati?
Oh, there's a lot of back and forth. And so I'll say around 2000, I went back to Chicago. I moved back to Chicago.
Okay.
And I actually got a job at an art materials store, right? It was called the Art Store. It no longer exists.
I'm a former assistant manager at Utrecht. It no longer exists.
Oh, sure, yeah. Nice. They got bought by
Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by-
Dick Flick.
Yep. And that was the best education I ever had about art.
Oh, dude, you
Was
learn
working at-
so much working in a fucking art store because
Yeah.
you learn about all the materials.
That's right.
And then you're constantly interacting with artists for the better and the worst.
Right.
Some people give you some good advice, some people give you some horrible advice, and then some people are just out of their fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a fact about working at an art store is that there are a lot of characters, man, in the field.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had a guy named Crutchy because he was he didn't need crutches, and so he was using like the crutches they give you for like if you break your leg or whatever. He was using those as his like long-term crutches like you would have if you had it where like if you needed professional crutches to live
my
your life.
God.
Yeah, and so then like then he'd forget that he needed the crutches. Then he would just like move around the store and like pick shit up and grab it. And then he remember like, oh no, I got to do the bit. And then he would go back and get the crutches. And then he would take off. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? And every time that guy came in, he was like, I just remember this one time. He's like, hey, if you took watercolor and you put it inside of a microwave, you put it on a piece of paper and you turn it on, what do you think would happen? And it's like, well, you have a huge fucking mess. He's like, right, but do you think it'd be good? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, why?
That sounds like your art trip, man. I have no idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was constantly coming in to like, he would just like grab whatever and like nothing had a rhyme or a reason. Like he was just a crazy guy who hung out in an art store.
Yep. You're gonna those people are there, man. I wish I could see some of the art sometimes that that people like that
Yeah.
made, right? Because you never know. You never know what they're doing when they get back to their hovel or their house or wherever they're making
what's
their
happening
things. Yeah.
there? Are they? Is it like? Does it look like when you go to the dude's house in Seven, where it's just pages all over the wall and
Right.
writing and drawings? I don't know, man.
Right?
I don't know what's going on.
You never know if you're, if you're helping Wesley Willis or not.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's like I might be helping a guy who's like changing the world right now.
Right.
Well, and that is the thing. You get into like stuff like folk art, and when I used to like teach art history stuff, like that was something we talk about folk art. It's like there was this one guy who was a folk artist that had chosen different spots and whatever, and he died. And then when they cleaned out his house, the people cleaned his house, they thought it was just trash. They didn't realize it was
Yeah.
art, and they just tossed it.
Is that Henry Darger?
Maybe it sounds
All
familiar.
the little girls like in circles, like doing like
Oh, yeah.
they're all holding hands all the time.
Yeah, he lost a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think that was. There was another guy too, but yes, I remember learning about Darger as well, and his whole thing. Yeah,
It's just amazing.
yeah, and it's just crazy. It's like, oh, like this guy this is his language and what he made. So, yeah, you do come across those people where sometimes they're making good stuff, sometimes they're not, and just the overall mix. Listener, I'll also say this: if somebody, and I don't know if this is still true today, but when people would call the store and they would ask for Indian ink, that was code for we're doing homemade tattoos.
Absolutely.
So if people say India ink, then they're there because they're drawing something on paper.
Right.
Indian ink, they're Doing some kitchen wizard shit.
Yeah, they've taken apart a motorized toothbrush, and they're in a Bic ballpoint pen, and
Yeah. Yeah. Their cousin.
some electrical tape involved.
Yeah, they're setting it up. They got it going. So, all right, man. So you're popping back and forth between between Cincinnati and Bloomington. You end up back in Chicago, you're working in an art store,
Right.
And then so once you're there, like, how do you end up here?
Oh, well, yeah. So I'm there, I'm painting. I did go from Chicago, and I moved back to Bloomington for a year in 2002-ish, and then moved to Milwaukee for about 8 months.
You're on the tour of the Midwest,
Oh,
man.
it was crazy, man.
You're hitting all the cities.
Between 2000 and 2004 was a insanity for moving. I learned how to move, and I learned what I needed to take and how to take it. Right?
What the fuck brought you to Milwaukee?
My cousin, my family's from Wisconsin on my mother's side, and they still live in Kenosha. And my cousin and I moved to Milwaukee, and I think a housing situation fell through, and I was kind of just left stranded a little bit.
You needed a spot.
I needed a spot. I called some old friends I had in Chicago, and they're like, well, we're about to, it's moving season. We're about to move. And
Wait, when is moving season?
there are 2 moving seasons in Chicago. It's madness. This is a real thing. I swear to you.
I like how you just casually dropped it in there. It was like, oh, it's the beginning of football season. You got moving season coming in 2 months.
Yeah. Like May, I think it's May 1st and then September 1st are the biggest moving days of the year.
Interesting.
This is how I furnished every apartment I ever had. This is part of how I learned to move. Every apartment I ever had, every place I ever lived in Chicago, no furniture of my own. A friend of mine had a minivan. You open the side of the minivan and you just drive down the alleys, and all the rich people in like Lincoln Park just throw their shit out, and you just get it all.
Nice.
Golf clubs, TVs. I lugged around a TV I found in that alley for 10 years. I swear to you. Yeah. You could find everything, and they just threw it all out because it was so much easier and cheaper than moving it.
Yeah.
To move, if you're rich, it costs $10,000 to move. Right?
Yeah. Because you got all kinds of shit you got to move, and that's like, and you're like, we can't afford this. Like, we'll just get the new TV when we get there.
No, you just call somebody and they bring you new shit, and everything costs
it's all
half
good.
the price. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They
Smart.
don't care.
Oh,
So
hey, well, everybody's getting ahead here.
that's right.
All right.
And so I moved back to Chicago, and then I met my wife. I was working at Trader Joe's, and I met my wife. She was working there, and she's from here.
Nice.
So we came here 2004, 2005-ish, something like that, and I've been here ever since. We did move back to Chicago one year, and that it was like moving back. It was like moving to the moon. It was like moving to a foreign country. Everything had changed. We had been here for about 8 years or so, and we were like, well, let's give this one more shot. Let's see what it's like up there, and maybe we'll check it out. And then we were like, no, it's better here.
I like to visit Chicago. I could not imagine living there.
It's
it's a lot of fucking city.
Yeah, it's a lot of city, and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Just to exist, just to leave the house to get to the store and back is like, you got to spend $10. It doesn't matter if you're taking I didn't have a car until I lived here. I didn't have a license or anything. Yeah.
So you're just jumping on public transit, like
Yeah.
taking the bus to get to every place, all that, moving around. Yeah. And then and then it's like, but then the cost of going out and drinks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because you can't just sit. You don't get an apartment to sit in it. You leave. You go out to be in the city.
Right. Yeah. That's the whole thing with like living in New York. It's like, well, yeah, you live in a shoebox, but you're not living in New York for the place. You're living in New York for the experience.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not here for the view of the brick wall next to me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And same thing with Chicago. It's like, no, there's all sorts of stuff. And that is the cool thing about living in a major city like Chicago, where it's like oh, who's going on tour? They're going to come here.
Right.
And that's not even a question. It's
Yeah.
like anything that you're into at some point will be accessible to you inside your city.
Correct. Yeah, and that goes for all the arts, right? Music, art, food, all of those things ebb and flow at a much higher rate, And not that, it's just a different mindset. That's all. It's not good or bad.
Right. Yeah, and again, I'm thankful for it being there so I can visit it from time to time, because there has been times when there's been stuff where I was like, oh shit, this is going to be in Chicago. I live in Cincinnati. I'm 5 hours away. Fuck it, let's roll.
Right, and you can go and stay, and it's not overly expensive to go
No.
and stay for the weekend or whatever.
Yeah, and I've always had a good time when I'm there. I've always had it's always been cool and it's fun, and yeah, it's a good spot. So hell yeah, Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Oh, sorry. I looked down at my notes. I looked back up and I saw the hand go up, and I was like, "Oh, he has to pee." And then you're like, "No," like thumbs up. I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, never mind." All right. So so you're living here at this point. What kind of art are you making in like 2004? Then, like, you're here. You're with the wife. What are you making?
I'm, I think at that point, and for the maybe 5 or 8 years prior to that, I was really focused on abstraction, and I found my way to abstraction because, and this is what I do. This is how my brain works. I found my way to abstraction because I hated it. It was one of those things when I was in my 20s. I was definitely of the my kid could do that mindset.
Right there with you.
Right. Yeah. And I tend to, and I did that with music too. When I find something I don't like, I want to find out why I don't like it, as opposed to just not liking it and working around it and going somewhere else. So I thought I'd try my hand down at it, and it became an obsession, right? Working abstractly is very fun, right? It's very free, and you can do whatever you want. And then after that freedom part, then you start, if you get to that point, you really start thinking about it, right? You think about why you're doing what you're doing. And this is when I started reading heavily about Rothko and Pollock and the original abstract expressionist guys, and finding out why they thought they needed to do this. Rothko is one of those things where people are crying in front of it, and he attached all this meaning to these paintings, and I was having trouble finding it. So I read a lot while I was painting.
I like Pollock and Rothko. I like especially for Pollock, I like how much of an innovator he was in terms of like taking paintings off the wall, working on the ground, using the butts of brushes, not the front of the actual brush. I find that interesting. I find Rothko interesting, the idea of like, how do we take this to where instead of the image, the painting is about the paint.
Right.
And that is the painting. I like that. I grapple with people that are still doing it today.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, well, are you a fucking cover band? Like, we've already seen this.
Yeah.
And that's,
yeah.
and I go back and forth with that on a lot of abstract stuff, because I do think that when it's done well and it's done original, it blows my mind, because I'm like, fuck, man. Okay. I didn't think of that. That's pretty cool.
Those are few and far between.
Yeah.
Though, right. I mean,
yeah. And also just, and I think we'll get into it later in the show, talking about our history stuff, but then also the whole, like, the part where abstraction became a thing where you had to have like somebody interpret art for you, where you had to have art critics, where you had to have somebody that was like an interpreter that was like, oh, person off the street, you don't understand the genius of this. Let me explain this to you. And it's like, well, is this real or is this a grift? Like, do you really get it? Or are you just some guy who's like a salesman that's talking and explaining what you think this is, and therefore adding value to it? And that becomes the weird part of where art meets capitalism.
Right.
And that exists in all arts, like music, making visual art, ceramic stuff, stand up comedy, whatever.
Right.
At some point, those two things collide, and it's usually a really messy marriage.
It is, and that capitalism part has become so fractured with the information age. I think with the onset of the internet and things like Instagram and social media, being able to artsy and being able to show your art on the internet, it's a flood of algorithms. If you start looking at abstract art, it'll just show you the same shit over and over from thousands and thousands of different people. And as an artist, as an older artist at this point, I feel like I just want to scream out at them. I'm like, this is just part of your learning process. Don't get stuck here.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing this and it's fine, and you're learning about how the materials work, and you're expressing yourself, and it's great, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, there's that, and then I think that gets into the evolution of making art, because I would always, like, whenever I would have students back in the day and they were super into anime, I'm like, it's not my favorite thing. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you straight up from the beginning. And I'm like, but I will tell you this. I'm like, make it your own. I'm like,
Right.
if you're gonna work in this style, I'm like, start figuring out how to incorporate other things into it, so your stuff just doesn't look like Sailor Moon. Like, people can specifically tell you made this.
Right. And that's again a huge part of the artistic journey. If you take that path, right? And it's hard to get young people, especially, to move through that. I know I had a problem with that too, like moving away from just copying the things that I loved, right? And I did love, and I still love doing that. I'll sit down and bust out a 90s X-Men and draw from that, just to keep my hands moving, just to keep the pencil going. But I don't show it to anybody.
Well, and that's something nice keeping the sketchbook,
Yeah,
nothing wrong
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, maybe do show. I mean, there's this guy, I forget his name off the top of my head. He's a tattoo artist by trade, but he started doing these videos where he redraws like Marvel comics, Jack Kirby comics, but he's like doing it by hand, and he's not sketching stuff out. He's just kind of instantly going and just like blasting out the line work, and they look like Jack Kirby drawings, and he colors them with crayon, and they look fantastic. And he's done a few other things where he's like incorporated other characters or kind of modified it. But there are some times where he just like rips like a straight cover of an old Fantastic Four from the 60s. And it looks really fucking cool because of what he's doing and how he's making it in the process of it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Yeah. But, and then, okay, so, well, we're here. Let's talk about it because we're going to keep talking styles, but I just feel like we're on it. I think there's also this thing, too, where it's like, especially now with what people want from artists, it's like, well, you can do something original and be ignored, or you can make fan art type stuff and people will love it because it's something in the pop culture and they gravitate towards it. So
Right.
if you make stuff people recognize, you will get likes and stuff on Instagram and on different social media networks because people are like, I know that thing. And they
Right.
like it, as opposed to if you make like an original character or an original drawing of something they don't know what it is, that takes longer to get traction for people to be like, oh, that's you, that's cool.
Right. You're a drop in the bucket in the art world. And even all those likes for, all the fan art, like, and that's fine. I don't hate fan art. I don't care. Like, I don't, I just don't, I could never, that was never for me. Right. Like I just could never spend that much time drawing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
I would rather be the hermit, right? As evidenced earlier with making music by myself. I'll spend my dying days drawing things nobody's ever seen. If nobody ever sees it, that's fine. I'm still going to create from my place. But that doesn't mean I don't like what other people are doing. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
No,
and that's the thing too, where it's like, I also enjoy this too. And so it's like, and I find myself right now, I'm in this weird spot where I'm like, I'm in one of those, like, I'm in one of those stages right now where I'm not sure what I'm doing with my art, so I'm kind of trying to figure out. So I am starting to dip into, our mutual friend Jamie, I talked to him a while ago, and he's like, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just drawing stuff I like.
Yeah, and he's been going off lately.
Yeah.
I really love his Instagram page, man. It's
Yeah, and he draws horror movie shit, and he draws tits and ass.
and butts just
Yeah,
all day.
just butts all day.
I love it.
He is
Yeah.
the king of smut. That's what Jamie Filer is. He's out
Yep.
there drawing nudie drawings, and he's taking old Playboy centerfolds and painting like monsters
Oh,
around
the
him
monsters
and
and
shit.
the Playboys are great. Yeah.
So, but it did make me like stop and think for a minute. It's like, just do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do that more lately, where I'm just starting to draw like movies that I like, or characters from that, or like music stuff, and I'm trying to experiment with that a little bit. And I'm just like, yeah, just make stuff that you enjoy and that other people also enjoy too, and form connections.
Right.
And I think that's currently where it's going, but who knows?
Well, and like you said, the whole capitalism thing about, if you attach too much to that, I think, and there's nothing wrong with making art that people like, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't know what art is if everybody just kept all their art to themselves. So, making stuff that people like is part of it, but getting people to pay you is it's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, it's people want what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes they know what they want, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people want shit that's really terrible.
Right.
There's a lot of bad stuff that people want.
Yeah.
I mean, that live, laugh, love thing, there's a reason why everybody that's listening to this podcast knows what the fuck it is.
Right.
Because enough people bought that shit or painted on their wall at home
Right.
because they thought this was the cool thing to do.
Well, and because it's easy to think about too. When you see it, you know exactly what it means. The same goes for paint pouring. You wanna see me get angry? Show me some videos of a guy swinging a bucket
Yeah.
with paint dripping out of it over a canvas. I'll lose my shit. Like it drives me crazy. And again, people are having fun doing it. Have a blast, man. I don't care. Sell it. That's great. But I am as yet unconvinced of its artistic integrity.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things too, where it's just like, again, where people like, it's the uneducated public being like, this is amazing, and then willing to pay like thousands of dollars for this, and it's like,
Right.
that's not hard. Like,
No.
you could do this yourself. Like, literally, you can do
Right.
this.
And there's nothing. And the thing is that it is the essence of vapid art, right? There's nothing going on. You're not feeling anything when you swing that bucket, man. Don't tell me that you are. But if you're just pouring paint over the top of, there's no substance to the feeling.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like that's something that's come of age with Instagram, where finally you can record the process. Because that was always the question before. It was like, is art the process or is art the product? Like, what is it? Is it the whole thing of the sketch to the drawing to the paint and the layers, and I don't know if I like this or not. Okay, this is going somewhere. Oh, now I got to get the details. Oh, I'm happy with it for, now. Like, this is good. Is it that at the end, or is it that whole process leading up to it? And now you can record the process.
Right. And I enjoy thoroughly the idea of process as art. I think that is a valuable asset to the artistic community. The art is the process, and the end result is only a small percent, right?
I think especially with like abstract stuff, that also can sometimes help to validate it in people's minds, because people are just like, oh, my kid can make that. And then if you can show them a video like, no, this is the process for making this. And it's like,
Right.
well, I don't think my fucking kid could do that.
Right. That's why those videos of Jackson Pollock painting,
Yeah.
right, or even the Picasso painting on glass, right? It was amazing to see those, because you see him, and there's these tag lines that always go with the Jackson Pollock ones, that he's stalking around in this kind of Hemingway kind of way. He's just kind of masculinely stalking around this canvas, attacking it and smoking and flicking it. And there's, before, it was called abstract expressionism, it was called action painting for that very reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Because of the process
because
of
of the process, right? Because how explosive it was to experience that action.
Yeah, I love seeing that kind of stuff. What was the guy's name? He died a few years ago, or like a year ago, 2 years ago. Asian artist who could make like just instantly make drawings with like people and motorcycles and
Oh, I don't know his name, but, and they were just, it was like, it was just so free. He was just kept doing it and doing it and like drawing and drawing and drawing
yeah.
as he went. Just watching him draw
And none
was,
of it was like sketch. Like none of it was measured. None of it was like,
no,
oh, at first I do the underdrawing. No,
yeah,
everything was just like, well, first I'm going to start drawing an eye, and then I'm going
right,
to start drawing the rest of the face around the eye, and then now she's wearing a helmet, and oh look, now she's perfectly in perspective, like on top of a motorcycle, like ramping over top of a building, and I put all the detail into the windows, and it's just like,
right,
how are you doing this?
right. And we love people like that.
Yeah.
We love, the public loves raw talent like that, right? And those people deserve praise. It's you know, the rest of us have to work at it, right? That's again the process, right? I think that process is so invaluable. I love it.
Yeah.
I love feeling that. I love finding a thing like abstraction and just doing it until I hate it again. Like it's like a circle. I hated it. I need to find out why I hate it by doing it, and then I do it until I can't do it. I just have to let it go, right? I hate it again.
So okay, so let's talk this since I think we're getting near the time frame. But I did some research on you before the show. Saw that you went to UC for art history. Why art history?
I wanted to know why. I always have, and I really, as I read, I mentioned earlier, I started reading a lot about abstract expressionism, and you start when you're in your 20s. You read the easy stuff. You read biographies and art history books that are easy reads, and then I started reading stuff like Clement Greenberg, and I started to dip my toe into art theory, right? Like not just the why did he paint that, but like why the fuck does art exist at all? Like why do we need it, and what is it, right? Those were important questions to me, and that's why I chose art history, because those, when you say I studied art history to somebody, they think that you studied a timeline of art from cave art to Andy Warhol. And that's not, I mean, that can be your study of art
Right.
history. And that's what a lot of people do. Like, oh, I specialize in Impressionism and I studied it and now I'm a conservator or curator or whatever. But then there's this whole other school of art theory, right? That falls under the art history umbrella, that I really started to get interested in. That can you make a living at it besides being a angry professor? No, and I didn't want to do that in the end. Yeah.
So with art theory, like, were you okay? So like, man, let's get into this. Like, this sounds really fucking weird and abstract. Like, what are you like? What are you thinking? Like, okay, why the interest in it? Like, is it just you need to know how the sausage is made, or you want to like know
Yeah.
the inside of the sausage? Like, what's going on with the art theory?
I want to know why there's a sausage, right? Like I one of the some of the more curious things that I found while exploring art history in academia, right, were some of the Renaissance era artists, and even predating those, some of the medieval people who were talking about medieval art. Anyway, I don't know much of the writing about that, although I'm sure it exists. But trying to figure out, I remember there was had to read some paper or something, and it was talking about it, and we talked about it in class. We were looking at this medieval era painting of some religious scene, and you have sometimes they're really boring. You think they're really boring. And you have this pastoral scene of there's a little castle and there's a valley with some knights and shit in it, and then there's a beautiful sky and clouds, and it's really painted pretty well for the time period and their understanding of perspective. And then boom, for no reason there's a cloud, right? In the cloud there's religious symbol, usually a hand with, grasping something, or this particular one had a little building coming out of the cloud. And I just remember the conversation in class, and there's classes like this, there's only about 6 people. And the professor trying to explain to the class why we were talking about how the artists who made this thought about this. Why did they decide that there needed to be like this cloud hanging around? And I know that sounds inane, like that seems a silly thing to focus so intensely on, but that's the kind of stuff I wanted to know, right? Why? Always why? Yeah. And writing about it really helped me too, to understand why I was doing what I was doing and the directions I wanted to head in.
So when you were doing that, like, what was your final, like? Did you have to do a thesis? Like, how did you complete this thing?
I did not finish college for art history. It became, again, the circle. I needed to know why. I did it until I got frustrated with it, and then I was like, "This is the stupidest fucking thing. I don't want your degree."
Like, I'm pressing
right?
pause on this.
Seriously, and because I didn't want to, I didn't want to go into the publish or perish world. I didn't want to, I was already behind the 8 ball. I was twice the age of most of my peers at school. I was Most of the time I was the age or older than most of my professors at DAP, even in the art history program. Although there were some older folks there, and they were very classical minded. So me trying to write about more contemporary ideas, I think, didn't help my situation, which is odd being at DAP. They didn't want to do that.
I had a similar thing when I was in art school where I was I went like back in the early 90s, and I had really I was a first generation college student. Like, my parents didn't go to college. We didn't know any of this, but it was the 80s, 90s. It's like, "Oh, you're supposed to go to college." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to college." So I go to Ohio University, and like the majority of my professors were like into abstract stuff. I was not. I was like, "Yeah, I want to like learn how to do like Robert Williams paintings and stuff like that."
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, no. Why would you do that?"
Can you imagine being told that I can't imagine being told that by a professor.
Well,
Like, that's not what we're doing here.
Well, it was just like, it was the kind of thing where it's like, look, you can do that if you want to, but like there was also the pushback of, we don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like that weird feeling of now you're like butting heads with the of like the people in your department. I was very lucky. There was one, and I will say this, like there was definitely, that was more of me and the head of my department, because his whole thing was he was from New York and was in abstract expressionism, and he knew some of the people. He wasn't one of the names, but he knew some people and had shown in some shows. And fucking small town Ohio, that's
a big deal.
That's who leads your art program. But there was like this cool guy there named Robert Peppers. He was super cool. He was like way more, he was abstract, but he was also very cool and just like a really nice guy. And Carolyn Cardenas, who I love her to this day. She's really great. Her husband is a fucking beast. They both are. They both are from the West Coast. She was doing like, at the time, these like realism paintings of like contemporary subject matter in her house. So she was doing stuff that was akin to like, it would be like she would paint like her TV with like not Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune on it. And then like there was another painting where it was like a devil Halloween mask, like kind of crumpled up on top of a plate, and then there was like a bowl of popcorn beside it. But it's all like really super well done.
Yeah. See, I love stuff like that. I do love the idea of real life in paintings, right? That's why we like David Hockney, right, or Alex Katz, where it's just regular people doing regular things, right? I love that stuff.
Yeah, well, and it's something that everybody instantly understands.
Yeah,
and it's something that even non-art people get. Like, they instantly see it, and they're like, "That's good. I couldn't do that. It looks like it's supposed to look like that thing. That's good."
right.
Right. And it's also a thing too where people, I don't want to say not challenged. I don't think that's the right way to phrase it, but they're not having to really stop and think like they are with some other stuff where there's not like a deep meaning. It's like, no, well, yeah, there is meaning there. You can kind of think on it, but at least you got the foothold of, I understand what I'm looking at.
Right.
As opposed to like, there's a lot of times where people enter in and they see abstract art and they're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I'm dumb because I don't know what's happening. And that's not, a lot of times that's not the case.
Right. And a lot of people don't like the feeling of not knowing why they don't like something, right? Like abstract art. People hate abstraction because of that reason, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also think too, I think that the art world has not done itself any favors when I think to a lot of people, the stereotype of the art world of it's the art world and we have galleries and there's wine.
The
and
capital A.
And everybody's wearing black and we're all like stroking our chins and thinking. And normal fucking people in the Midwest, man, they don't want to do that shit. They want to watch Bengals games and drink beer and, that's not their scene. So it's like, fuck, man. Okay, like how do we find that in between? That's something I've really struggled with like with doing 6 Bomb Board stuff, where I try to explain to bars or restaurants, breweries. I'm like, hey, we want to come here and do live art. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, we literally draw art.
Yep.
Like how? Like, and I've had people say to me, they're like, oh, we didn't get it. Like we saw there was live art here tonight. We thought that like you were gonna like get naked and dump paint on yourself, or
like performance.
Yeah,
arts.
like performance art.
Right.
Yeah, like because you got to get naked if you're doing some performance art. You got to get naked.
You gotta get naked and you gotta get messy somehow.
Yeah, messy. Yeah,
there's gotta be SpaghettiOs somewhere.
You got to duct tape your balls, or you got to
Right.
spray yourself in spray paint. If you have an instrument, even better. Like just something where you're not really playing it. You're just going.
That's right.
Something like that. Grade A
breaking
fucking
things.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, breaking things is awesome. Hell yeah, dude. This is the patriarchy, and then you just like take a fucking hammer and you smash an alarm clock for no goddamn reason. It's like, all right, cool. I guess we're doing this now.
I secretly love that kind of stuff, and I also love the capital A art world. I know I'm not supposed to, but it's one of those mysteries, right? It's one of the things behind the curtain that I want fucking access to, and I want to go and I want to go to a white cube gallery that I'm not supposed to be in and exist there, and maybe not even as an artist. Like I just want to go. Like I just want to see that. I just want to sit at that table one day, and just find out why this is what it is. Again, why, right?
Will you wave at me when I pass by outside?
Definitely.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure when you go to sit at the cool kids table, you don't forget about your friends.
Oh, I will moon you out of the window. How about that?
They're going to frown on that in capital A world.
Maybe it's my performance art piece.
That's true. Well, now you're back in. Now they're going to spend an extra $5,000. Reginald, get more money for him.
I love it. I again, this is something that has, always intrigued me as I've gone along. That again, finding the things that I hate and letting them in, right, and letting it take over, and I don't care. Like I used to fucking hate Andy Warhol. Right, I hated his guts.
I'm on the flip side. I've always loved him.
See, and at one point I gave up. I'm just like, I don't fucking care anymore. Like him, I don't know. Maybe he was a dick. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine. The art is fine. I like to look at a lot of his stuff. Some of the stuff is a little pretentious for me personally. I think he knew what he was doing.
Yes.
But that is definitely what he did. He definitely knew what he was doing. All of his stuff was a plan, right?
Yeah. Well, Warhol was one of the weird Venn diagrams where capitalist guy and artist guy were the same guy.
Right.
And he figured it out. And he came along at a time where the world was like, well, because the world had done the thing. You had abstract expressionism, and you had color field, and you had minimalism. And it's like, well, fuck, where can we take it next? We can't make it any more minimal. It's as minimal as it gets.
Right.
We're down to like making, like we're not even painting on the canvas now. Now it's just the canvas. Like,
right.
do we just like show the stretcher? Is that where it is now? It's a whole show of stretchers. And then Warhol 180'd it and was like, oh no, I'm going to make something that anybody anywhere can instantly recognize.
Right.
Everything is pop culture. Everything is Marilyn Monroe and fucking Elvis and John Wayne and shit. Where just instantly you see it and you're like, I know what that is. And it doesn't matter what you are socioeconomic wise, your age, your race, your sex.
Right.
You just instantly know what the fuck it is.
Right. And he gave artists the I think, the illusion that they could contribute to what he was doing as well, right? That anyone can do this, and people like Joseph Bouys also had the same idea. Like, the art is a community. We're all here for this purpose together, and even you can make it. And Andy Warhol would never say that out loud, like,
Right.
you can do it too, right? But he would. I don't think he would ever say that. But I think he knew what he was doing, right? He's like, you can contribute.
Well, and I think that he again got the game or the grift, whatever you want to call it, to where when you start doing like the Brillo boxes,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, like, and so listener, Google, if you don't know what this is, Andy Warhol Brillo box. What he did was, he took a bunch of boxes and he painted them to look exactly like the Brillo boxes of the time, and you couldn't tell the difference except they were hand done, and they sold for a shitload of money.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, wait, why is this important and worth a ton of money as opposed to me just going and buying a Brillo box for like, at the time, probably like 10 cents, 25 cents at your local bodega? Like, what
Right.
the fuck?
And he was lucky enough to enter into that world at a time when that first wave of information age of the TV and pop culture was really frenetic.
Yeah.
And he was able to capitalize on that too, because I mean, there have always been patrons of the art, but there's always been that curtain, and he opened up the curtain. He said, here's Oz. Here's what's behind the curtain.
Well, and I think you make a fantastic point of his point in time with like him and the color TV, where, the U.S. had been connected before, like still big, like if a big event happened, everybody knew like fucking World War II. Everybody's like, yeah, we get it. World War II is going on. We're in the know
Right.
about that. And, movies like Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz, like the nation knew about that. But as far as like individual shows and stuff outside of the super overall pop culture, it was very isolated.
Right.
So then when you bring along something like TV, where it's like now everybody, no matter what coast you're on, or if you're in the middle of it, you can be in fucking Kansas, you can be in Los Angeles. We're all getting the same TV shows pumped out to us by CBS, NBC, ABC.
Right.
Oh shit, now we're all recognizing these cultural icons at the same time. And now we all know about Elvis and we all know about the Beatles. And,
Right.
and we're all living this together.
And we all know about art, right?
Yeah.
Where when Jackson Pollock appeared on the cover of Life magazine with the other abstract expressionists inside, there's a distance
Right.
between the reader and that exists in New York as some kind of secretive art world. And I think Andy Warhol definitely helped to make that disappear, right? Where he brought all of those things that we're used to seeing into the art world, and the art world into people knew his name as a pop culture reference and an artist, which I don't think had happened before then.
Yeah, and
So that's important.
As a celebrity, like hanging out at Area 50, or well, not Area 51, but Studio
54.
Yeah. So, listener, he was really into aliens, by the way.
He may have been.
He might have been. That would be pretty cool. I could see Andy Warhol popping up at Area 51. That makes total sense to me. Just like, aliens. Just kind of, just chilling out. Like, for some reason, like, Muhammad Ali's beside him. He's like, hey, man, it's a wild night. Fuck, I'm here.
14 hours of an alien sleeping on
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, just chilling. Just hanging out. All right. Well, look, let's shift out of the past of art history. Let's get to now. So, listener, this is a good time if you're on Instagram, Jason_Erler_art, if you want to follow along here. So we're jumping in around 2012 at this point. So you're drawing, and so the stuff that I'm looking at from that time period for you was you were doing very much like we talked about before, like kind of that graffiti inspired, cartoony type stuff. A lot of teeth, a lot of hands, a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Why? First of all, why the fuck hands? Because hands suck to draw.
Because I hated them.
Okay, so you're running towards what you hate. Okay, that's fucking. I should have.
I fucking hated drawing hands, and I said, I still can't draw feet, but hands, I can draw with my eyes closed now. In any position, holding anything, doing anything. It's one of those things that, if I'd have gone to academic schooling 100 years ago, they would have been like, all right, this is the fucking hand class. You can't leave until you can do this. And the musculature and the ligatures and blah, blah, blah.
You got to take hands 304.
That's right. This ain't hands 101.
No, get good.
Yeah. So, but the focus on the hands as as a symbol. So I really started to, after I had kind of not abandoned abstract, but was moving away from it and starting to make more figurative pieces, incorporating the things that I had learned from abstraction. I started to, with the abstraction, I had abandoned all meaning in placing any meaning in what I was doing. It was all about the action of the painting. And then I started to bring back meanings and symbols and things into my work that I liked, that I had always focused on. And the corona, right? Like there's the popular thing with a hand, and then it's a religious hand, and it usually has a stigmata mark or a wound in the palm, and then each finger has either a saint coming, like floating above the tip of the finger, or some other religious symbol. And I liked that idea, right? Because the hand is the tool of the artist. So I think on a base level, that's really what I wanted to do and represent that.
I also think outside of our face, like hands are one of the most expressive things we have as humans.
Absolutely.
Like you can tell a lot about people by their hands. Like when people make the her, like the listener, you can't see, but like the scary Dracula hands, or, somebody flips you off, they give you the thumbs up, the okay, the metal horns. Like there's just
and sign language in general, right?
Yeah, sign language, or just like people will, like if they're recoiling from you, they'll put their hands up to say "give me space," or to give you a hug, they'll use their hands to bring you in. So hands are just incredibly expressive, and they mean a lot of different things.
Right, and as I moved along, especially after with drawing the hands, the Buddhist, what are they called? The mudras. Those became a thing to draw too. They're always very slender, and they're very minimalistically drawn. But attaching meaning to just how your hands are shaped, that became a small obsession too. But the teeth thing, I think that probably came from terrible dreams of while grinding my teeth in my sleep of, you have these dreams where your teeth are falling out, or then I would have these dreams of teeth turning to clay and stuff like this. And that stuck with me. And yeah.
Teeth are super cool to draw.
Yeah, they're fun.
They are way fun to draw. There's a lot. I think instantly, two guys that draw teeth a lot. There's a tattoo artist, I think he's from Minnesota, named Scotty Monster. He does a lot of cool teeth stuff. And then there's another tattoo artist, I believe in North Carolina. His name is Matt Kearney, and he's at Matitude on Instagram. And they both make incredible fucking gnarly teeth. And like, the Matitude stuff is very like grimy and gunky and like really gnarly looking. And whereas the Scotty Monster stuff's kind of in a different direction where it's more figure stuff. So like he uses the tooth as a body, and then we'll put like eyes and a mouth on it.
Oh, sure.
So they're like little cartoon characters and all. And it's just interesting to see all the different things you can do with teeth.
Right. And it's crazy too, because I loved teeth with wings was something that I thought was a fabulous idea, because you have this image in your head when you're a child of a winged female coming to take your teeth away, right? And I just thought of like in my head, she wasn't taking the teeth, she was like not reaching under the pillow to wake me up, but the teeth would come out from under the pillow and just follow her as she flew out the window and up into the sky with a little trail of teeth behind her. So I thought that was a great visual.
My buddy Mike Burlon recently went through this. He posted something online where he was like, how fucked up is it that I'm breaking into my kid's room to steal their teeth from underneath their pillow, and then I'm leaving them money for doing it? And I'm like, yeah, man, it is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's more like a tooth goblin.
Yeah, very much so, right? Like, yeah, you wouldn't think it's like a fairy thing where it's like, oh, let's take it away. And we're gonna, like, it seems like a goblin thing where it's like, yes, haunt them, haunt them. I mean,
He's
it's
got like a little lair with just teeth everywhere.
Yeah,
a little tooth shrine.
Yeah, like a little tooth house where all the other fucking goblins live.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. America, you're being lied to. The propagandists have won. It's not a tooth fairy, it's a tooth goblin. Oh shit. Well, look, man. Okay, so let's fast forward a couple years. 2014, you start getting into 3D pieces,
Oh
and you
yeah,
start making like it's not origami because like you're not making shapes, but like you're literally cutting paper up and making like pyramids and all
yeah.
sorts of shit. Can you go into that for a minute?
Sure, that is my personal favorite of my own art. Um, you know, I attached as much mythological meaning as I could to these pieces. I was taking paper. I was working at an art store, so I had access to paper, glue. All I was learning about acid-free papers and all the materials, right? And I started first. I started making these little pyramids because uh, this was probably what was this around 2012 or 16?
Yeah, like this is around the 2014 time period.
Yeah. So we had just I think that the I had let the internet influence me a little bit. The wormholes of YouTube were still fun to go down, right? It wasn't laced with as much conspiracy as there is now. So I was finding a lot of esoteric stuff that I was really interested in, and I let the algorithm take me. And I started attaching entire mythological systems to each one of these pieces, right? And I thought that they were shrines, and I wanted to make artifacts that were most certainly ephemeral. That these things would certainly not exist, and within the end of my lifetime, they would be broken down probably, just because of the nature of paper and how delicate these things were. And I still attached so much time and effort, and I really, really loved doing these things.
Ooh, side rabbit hole. Let's go.
Hmm.
The idea of art lasting a lifetime or not. The idea of art lasting, like, if I buy this thing, am I going to outlive it, or is this thing going to fall off my wall 10 years from now?
Oh, that's a great question,
Yeah.
right?
So how do you feel about this kind of stuff?
Well, for me, I mean, it depends on the piece, on what I'm making personally. I know a lot of the stuff that I've made will last a very long time. I use a lot of acrylic paint. That's plastic. We don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah.
And but there are some things that you look at someone like Damien Hirst and those the vivisected animals and the shark in the tank, and he's made pieces based entirely on the fact that this is going to decay. It's a cow's head being destroyed by flies and maggots, right? I don't, again, I don't, I'm not mad at those things. I think that sometimes, the world is not, I mean, what's within my lifetime, I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's destroyed, or you can buy my thing and destroy it, or I can buy somebody else's painting and burn it on a pyre. I don't care. But what's going to happen in 10,000 years?
Yeah.
That is part of my own personal problem with things like NFTs and digital art, right? When this first started to, gain some traction there at this time, while I was at school, in college, digital art was starting to become, and digital contemporary art. I don't mean digital art like animation and things like that. I mean digital contemporary, white cube gallery art that was starting to gain traction. And now NFTs, right? Those things are 100% ephemeral. I mean, if imagine 20,000 years after our time here moves on, right? Whatever catastrophe happens or something, the next living beings that find our art are going to be able to see it as an artifact, right? They're going to find a piece of art, a sculpture, or whatever. But if it's a digital thing, they're not going to have the internet to hook it up to, right? They're not going to have a power source necessarily to start this thing back up and find through luck find somebody's stash of NFTs. Those things need power banks that take up whole towns to run, right? I mean, I just can't imagine their longevity being important.
I think that the thing after like whatever part of postmodern we're in now will be digital.
Yeah.
I think yeah, and because I think I mean, and I'm sure somebody will prove me wrong by taping a banana to a wall, but it kind of feels like at this point like it's all been done like with physical stuff.
You really
And
think that? You really think that no, there's nothing new can come of physical art?
maybe I don't know. I go back and forth on it. It's just like, what haven't we seen? But and you know, of course, there's always that thing where it's like, well, this artist will be influenced by this artist, and they'll make something, and that'll keep going. But I think as far as like the big leap stuff, I think it's going to be holograms. Or it's going to be like some other kind of projection thing where we make art where it's interactive, it's moving animation, but it's like it's easier for other people to get a hold of and do now.
Right.
I think that's going to be kind of the spread. I don't know if, because I don't live in the future, I don't know what the money situation on that is like, and I don't know how it's stored, but I feel like that's the next thing to be the Pollock that like flips the brushes and uses them on the back.
Yeah.
Because I can't really think of what haven't we done yet physically with the tools that we have to make stuff unless something else new is innovated.
Right. And I I agree with that sentiment in some ways. I think that we are definitely headed as a artistic society, like our artistic part of our society is definitely heading towards a spot that needs to flip back over into something else. I don't know if it's going to be digital or not. I that's one of those things that I'll wait and see. Personally, I won't make a prediction about that. Um, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that would be. But I do like the idea that having it be a communal, uh, like you said, maybe a holographic situation or something like this. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure what it's going to be, but I just feel like something will be invented and from that things because it's, if you look at the way art is now, like we went from like drawing and then we had scanner beds and then well now we can do Photoshop and then it's like okay, well then Procreate comes along and it's just like oh this is just now these worlds are weaving like Procreate really feels like that with like the tablets aren't perfect. I still way prefer drawing on paper than I do a screen.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the speed that I can work and the things that I can do and the risks that I can take and nothing's permanent, like there's a big difference there in those things. That being said, I'm always confused when somebody commissions me to do something and I'm like, do you want me to do it by hand or you want digital? And they're like, oh, digital. And I'm always like, man, I'm the exact opposite. I want analog. Like, if I'm going to commission you to make something for me, I don't want a digital thing. Like, I want you to hand build this fucking thing.
Right. I share that sentiment. I as much as I love, hashing stuff out in Procreate and just two finger undoing all day long if that line isn't perfect. There's still part of me that I really like the risk. Analog risks. Fucking something up on a canvas and fixing it is much more gratifying to me than the undo button.
Yeah, and there is something I think that new artists are missing with this, and this is something me and Danny Gamble were talking about one time, and he was like you need to learn analog first before you do digital, and I was like I 100% agree. I feel the exact same way where it's like if you're a kid or you're somebody who's just getting into art, like seriously figured out like figuring out the rules on paper and how to draw stuff first and figuring out size and perspective and line weight and all that kind of stuff, and then when you go in you can then take the shortcuts digital art allows you to do. You're still making quality stuff, but there's a lot of times where people are making glass houses where all they know is digital stuff, and then you hand them a pencil and they can't do anything.
It feels really empty when you can tell when they've made that the jump prematurely. I think you learn how when you draw with the hand or paint, you learn how heavy the body is that way, right? By drawing with a scratching something, right? Essentially, is what we're doing by actual mark making onto a physical object. I feel like you get a lot more sense of the weight of things as opposed to digitally.
Yeah, and sometimes I get annoyed by Luddites, but in the terms of art, I don't. Because, like, I look at somebody like Jamie, again, listener Jamie Fowler's been on the show a lot, look him up. Jamie refuses to do digital stuff. He's like, I'm not fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is he's like, I don't give a fuck about that. He's
Yeah.
like, this is what I make, this is what I do, I'm doing this. And I'm like, shit, man. All right, fuck. I gotta respect that.
Yeah, no shit.
There's like a lot of times where I'm like, well, you gotta like draw something for a book. He's like, I can scan it, and I'm like, but you gotta make it. He's like, I can. Yeah, I'm like, it'd be much easier to lay this out and like Procreate or InDesign. No, I'm gonna just do, And he just has process, and it's
Yeah.
like. All right, man. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it looks beautiful because it does have that heart and soul in it, and you can see it in the work because you can see the labor that he's put into it, and the work and the time and the craftsmanship. And it's
Right.
like, well, fuck. Okay, yeah, this is one of those times where could it be done faster? Sure, but is it better the way you're doing it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, all right. So as you're making like the 3D stuff, like and all that, at some point then you drift back into 2000. Oh no, so in 2015, this is interesting to me. You start combining. So originally the 3D pieces started out on tables, but then you started combining them on the wall. So you would make like a flat like 2D stretcher or something, or I don't know what.
I was taking a frame,
Okay.
and taking the glass out of the frame, and making almost like a religious niche, like at a church, and I wanted them to be like shrines, right? That required a little more investigation when approached, right? You could look inside of them. I was putting mirrors inside of them. I was putting the pyramids inside of the pyramids, and I think you're getting at the fact that I was putting drawings of hands inside of these things
Yeah.
and stuff like this. Yeah.
It felt very important, which again, I think that's a holder from religious art. Like naturally, we think that religious art is important,
Right.
And so then by seeing these things this way, it's like, yes, this is important the way it's structured and framed, and also it just made it so different because you're fucking putting the peanut butter into the chocolate or the chocolate in the peanut butter, where you're combining 2D 3D world by doing this.
I really liked that idea of the art as object, right? But still on the wall like a painting. I definitely was feeling that way about that.
So okay, so then in 2016, you take a hard dip back into color field painting.
Yeah.
What happened? Like what? Like because it looked like you were on this whole evolution of this style of like building these things, and all of a sudden one day it stopped, and now you're painting abstract stuff. What's going on?
Sometimes you just 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and I think that the precision and the math part of making those paper sculptures had taken its toll on me, and as I'm aging, I'm finding that the undoing of these things as I move along is more abrupt, right? So I didn't undo the paper sculptures like I would normally do, like drifting from abstract or from figurative to abstraction, and then from abstraction to adding drawings and stuff into it and flow, right? I kind of gave that flow up. I didn't want to deconstruct the meaning I was giving these these sculptures. So I made a hard stop and started doing. I think that you're looking at smaller ones that are just almost Clifford Still style paintings. I think is what you're looking at there. They're not hard edge yet. They're more abstract, and I don't know. I just wanted to abandon meaning again.
Well,
I just needed a hard reset, I think.
and what you're saying here now makes sense to me because at the time, and even when I was going back through and I was looking at these last night, I was like, man, why did you quit doing these? These things fucking rock. These were so cool. And then that one sentence there where you were like, I got really tired of doing the math. And I was like,
it was maddening.
and I was like, holy shit, I'd never once considered that like what your process and labor was to make these things, and it totally clicks. It's like, yeah, man, you're working like a wood craftsman, where you're measuring and cut, measure twice, cut once, and if this thing's off, this is fucked, and and now I can't get that back because
Right.
you can't uncut it,
Right.
Like,
and they were becoming so delicate and hard to store as well. And it was just becoming a labor as opposed to a love. And the yes, the math was bonkers, and I hate fucking math. dude.
math is worse.
It's the worst.
That's why we draw pictures.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Although I do use a lot of math in my work.
Yes.
But, well, I'm not too much. I use the rule of thirds. That's my big thing.
Art math.
Yeah, I use art math. Yeah. Again, the same way I understand like how to tip on a check. I'm like, 25%. Okay, I can do the math.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I just move the decimal and then add.
Yeah, okay, cool. I got that. Yeah, so tip math and art math, I'm good with. Other math, I'm like, man, I don't know about all this.
Like centimeters. And let me tell you, if you don't work in centimeters doing stuff like this, then I feel for you. If you're building buildings in America and using inches and shit and feet,
Yeah.
you should switch. Because going by tens is awesome.
That is a way easier way to do things when you're going by tens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got to be special. We're innovators.
Right.
Until it comes to drugs. Then we're back on we're back on those other systems. We're like kilos, yeah, we understand. Sure, I guess. This is this and kettlebells. The one time I got to know what 2.2 pounds is.
Tip math, art math, drug math.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in.
And then in the rest of the world, they're all like, why the fuck are you guys doing this? Until it comes to soccer, and you're like, well, everything's in yards. It's like, why are you guys playing in yards? Isn't everything? I don't fucking get it, man. It's mass weird. All right, so 2017, you start writing words and type patterns to form shapes. Dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, in 2017?
Yeah, so you would like make these things where you would like take one word and you would just like write the word over and over, but then it would like form into shapes. And they would, it was just like this crazy abstract pattern thing, or sometimes pattern, sometimes not.
I was studying what ceremonial magic was at that time. I wasn't trying to practice it per se, but the power of repetition of a word became a brief obsession for sure. And I started looking at people like Clifford Still and revisiting some Basquiat paintings at that time. And both of those guys were heavy into mark-making repetition. And I really have always enjoyed Basquiat's crossing out and redoing words. And there's a kind of spell casting that happens in a, not in a Harry Potter way, but in a ceremonial magic kind of way, like writing, especially like, there's one that's an abracadabra painting, and that's just a silly word, right? Like, and everybody says it and it's funny, but it's fun. It sure is fun to write over and over again. And I started having fun again with painting. 'Cause a lot of times, when you're painting or drawing or doing anything, you tend to focus your emotion that you're having sometimes into these things. I'm angry. I'm going to draw an angry painting. I'm just using base emotions, of course, but you can see emotion in a painting or a drawing, and those were fun. And I was definitely throwing that into it as well.
I like those because you hit upon it with the word repetition. I fucking love repetition.
Oh yeah.
Repetition is so good. And there's a reason why it's like one of the things where the human eye just locks in on it. And that's why it's one of the rules of arts, because it's just like people, like, you naturally love it. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, if you see pattern, you're attracted to pattern. It's the reason why, go to any home goods store in America, there's patterns on fucking everything.
And that is one of the aesthetic reasons I enjoy Warhol, is because of his repeating patterns. Like I think there's an electric chair that he has, that there are multiple pictures of, or even the Marilyn Monroes, or the four Elvises or whatever they are. Those I like that, even if it's just a short, quick pattern. And that's why I love EDM and electronic music and stuff like that too. So
That's where my mind was going the same way. Like, is
yeah,
it something like 4/4 time where it's just like you get into like a beat
it's
and
a whirling dervish,
yeah,
man.
and
Yeah,
and it's a visual beat. It's something where it's like
yeah.
it's just constant. It's just dun 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 dun
Yes,
dun.
and I'll tell you, I listen to a lot of music while I paint, and I think I'm skilled enough, at least in my head, to not let the music overly affect me while I'm painting. I can paint without letting the music make the painting. Um, with these repetitions, getting a rhythm and going, I had to have no. I it was just no music at all. The rhythm, the music was the creation of the piece. I was definitely, the sound of the marker on the wooden table.
Making that same
Just boom, yeah. There was definitely a rhythm, and each word has its own rhythm, right? Which is a huge part of ceremonial magic, right? You're walking in a circle or doing a thing a certain amount of times, you know. Don't get me started. Third time's a charm is not, there's a reason that we say those things like that. Uh, repetition.
threes.
Yeah.
Things come in three. Well, it's the rule of comedy is three. If
Mm-hmm.
so, you got you say the two things, and the third one is the punchline
Right.
kind of deal. So yeah,
Everything
everything's
is,
in threes.
yeah.
Okay, so now we evolve into 2007, 2018. And so this feels like you're kind of combining stuff because now we're in the cartoon pyramid thing. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
revisiting now of like your original stuff you were doing in 2012 with like the teeth, the hands, all that. And then also bringing in your 3D sculpture work, but now kind of combining these things into a more refined modern version of what you were making.
Yes, and attaching my own personal mythology to my drawings, because the entire time, so what you're not seeing on Instagram and stuff, because that's curated by me, right? The entire time through this whole thing, I'm drawing. I'm always drawing new things every day. I draw, and it becomes a habit. So when my mind finds something that it attaches to that I really like, I will expand on it and start executing it. And those drawings became small paintings, and then those paintings became, uh, what you see there, the pyramids and the hands and the more teeth probably. Yeah, and I think that the hard edge stuff is coming up after that probably. I think.
Yeah, and just to kind of talk about this, I remember at one
Yeah.
point like reaching out to you during that time period and being like, "Fuck, dude, this is so good." Because this goes back to what we talked about in the beginning with like when you go to a museum and you see these large scale paintings, and I'm looking at these things and I was like, these would just fucking rock if they were like 6 feet tall,
Yeah.
And it becomes the old or the in, and I know that also then falls into the old art critique cliche of listener, if you're ever in an art critique and you need to contribute something, good or bad, hit them with this. I think it should be bigger. It's always it should be bigger.
Works every time.
And then, listener, now if you want to fuck with them, when they make something really big, hit them with the. It'd be nice if it was smaller, more intimate. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about making it smaller? So, but yes, you can always hit them with the go bigger. But yeah, I was very into this part of what you were making in that whole series. And then you're right, it goes into like this hard edge thing where then you start doing like these color transitions.
Yes, like the gradients and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I was very free um and joyful with the pyramid, the waving pyramids and the beams coming from out of them, and then they started to get. I kept those same ideas, and I think that I probably did steal from myself from the paper sculptures, and I tightened it up and minimalized it, and I wanted to do something that I hadn't done before, which was adventure into color. I obviously I always liked color, right? Every artist loves color, right? But I really started to learn how to mix paint like an insane person. I was applying the same mathematical principles uh, to making colors as I was to uh, to the painting itself. Yeah.
Yeah, and listener, let me jump in here to kind of help. Fuck. To help paint this picture, god damn it, for you. So what he was doing was, it was like you were making gradients of all these colors, and so you had tints and shades of everything. Where it's the same way, listener. Like if you would go through a fuck God damn it, why am I blanking on this word?
Swatch book?
Thank you, swatch book. Yes, and I was gonna say the fucking term of it, but yes, swatch book. We'll go with that. But yeah, just that. Where like it would go from like, well, it's this, it's like it's this kind of green with 10% of blue in it. Now it's this kind of green with 15% of blue. Now it's this kind of green with 20% of blue. And just like constantly amping up what that was.
I was literally weighing the paint. I was to get the exact amounts. The paintings were almost a byproduct of the mixing, right? I was more interested in making these gradients in storing them. There might be some pictures on Instagram of how I kept them in their little containers, which was much more pleasing to my eye than the paintings often were. And then a minor epiphany happened in those paintings for me, where I started attaching meaning to these paintings, and the meaning of the paintings was that they had no meaning. Again, like I was trying to focus on things that were vapid, right? Luxury, the false senses of the false sense of luxury, those kinds of things. And I think I was probably attacking the art world a little bit with those. That was my intent anyway.
I think that's a good intro to where we are now with your work, because it seems like you're going to war with the art world right now. Like you are, like your new stuff is very, it's very smart ass.
Yes.
Is it angry smart ass?
No,
Is it frustrated smart ass?
I think
Is it, or are you just having fun? Or are you like, come on guys, like be in on the joke? Like what's happening with this new work you got going on?
It feels a little bit like everything you just said. I think my initial reaction was the starting point was definitely a little bit of frustration. I'm not going to lie. I made one that was just a fucking dirty fucking rag that I found in the studio, and I was looking at an artist called Richie Culver, who's very annoying. But I don't hate it. I don't hate his work. I kind of like it, right? He is a text-based artist, and he paints some pretty vile statements, right? And I was a little frustrated because he was getting attention. And I was just jealous. And
Why not me?
Right.
Where's mine?
Right. I was just being a dick to myself, just in my studio in the woods by myself. Nobody's looking at my Instagram, and at least to me anyway. And so I just painted this one thing, and it got a reaction. And I was like, oh, okay. I've never had that before, where people I don't know are saying things or DMing me and stuff like this, and so I kind of went on a tangent with it. And then, again, I hated it. And I let it take me. And I've been letting it take me for the past, 4 months now. And versus the time it took to, say, create some of the paper sculptures, which could take, 40 hours of work, 60 hours of work on some of the larger ones. I was having a great time. I still am having a really good time just banging these things out because they're fun as fuck. And what started off as a kind of thumbing my nose at this guy, I love it. I love it now. I love saying things. And I love the ambiguity of some of the phrases too, right? Like it just keeps getting worse. I like that one a lot, and I don't know what it means. What's getting worse? And I I put on the caption for that Instagram post that I'm really okay because I am like this is not what this is about, right? I wanted it. I purposefully filter phrases. I have sketchbooks. I have thousands of sketchbooks that I've never used because of my years in art materials world. You just get free shit all the time at expos and stuff like this. And I started filling these sketchbooks with phrases so I can filter out the phrases that I really like that are the most ambiguous. That could mean something different to every person who looks at it, which is a great part of looking at art.
See, and I think that this is interesting when you say that because, like, instantly when you said, it just keeps getting worse, and it's just like that feels very so it's a combination of things. Like, it's very postmodern, but it also feels very pop art because it's the thing where anybody that looks at it can just they get it. And not only do they get it, they assign it to themselves because there are the people that are going to like, well, what is getting worse? But then like there's also people that are like, oh yeah, I definitely agree. It is getting worse.
Right.
And they, and then they're assigning, well, what is that thing that's getting worse? And, is it the world? Is it the United States? Is it the like global warming?
Is it art?
Yeah, art. Like, what is it? Like, what is getting worse?
Yeah.
You can kind of assign yourself to it. So yeah, I think that this is a very interesting series in terms of that, where you are like, it's very humorous in a lot of ways because you are fucking poking people with a stick.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see who gets the joke and who doesn't.
Right. I have a fan on Instagram that pretty consistently shares my stuff on their story, and she usually will share it, and then I'll like it, right, and then she'll say something to the effect of, "This is the most irritating one yet," and that's my favorite kind of compliment for these. She's like, "What are you doing?" Right? It's so fun. It's like trickster. It's like trickster art, right? I like the painting, like the fucking banana with the duct tape.
Yeah.
People got so mad at that, and I was like, yes, and it takes me back to being a teenager and listening to music that made people uptight, listening, having it on, right? Like, I don't know if you remember when Twisted Sister came out, but that was such a huge deal to have this fucking D. Snyder, pissing people off just by being himself,
Yeah.
right? And I love this idea applied to my artwork, which I totally haven't done. I've usually taken myself way too seriously with my art, so this has kind of been opening me up artistically, and that's hard to do. I feel like as a person approaching 50 years old, it's hard to maintain being fresh.
I love humor in art. I feel like it's one of the emotions that isn't used enough because there's so much like sad ass art in the world. I think that's kind of like one of the default emotions for art is it's like it's very sad and serious,
Right.
But then like but then when you see something that's humorous, you're like, this is fucking great,
Right.
Like, and I love that kind of shit. I love the kind of stuff where there's a joke and there's something humorous there. I mentioned Robert Williams earlier. That was one of the reasons why I liked Robert Williams' stuff. I love the humor that's in it, and like
Right.
stuff that like Todd Shore has done. I like the humor of that work, and like it's these little stories that they're telling.
Right. And the best part about it, especially guys like Robert Williams, man, like it's funny, but he's serious about the execution. Like his and they're gigantic.
Yeah, they're big.
I mean, I remember looking at those things and juxtaposing. You look at them and they're 6 inches tops. on a tiny little page, and then at one point you either see one in real life or you see a picture of him painting one outside of his tiny garage, and they're like 10 feet by 12 feet, man. They're gigantic.
I saw one recently in person, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's mind
it's
blowing.
amazing how big they are and how well done they are, and getting to like see one up close and getting to see like the brushwork in it.
Yeah.
It's just pretty mind melting.
Yeah, he has been passed over time and time again, I think.
Yeah.
Especially being someone who laid the foundation for the art of our generation, right? Of the 90s and on.
Yeah, definitely
And
the whole juxtaposed thing, or like the whole like pop surrealism stuff,
Yeah.
and lowbrow, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Like, I mean, without Robert Williams, a lot of this doesn't exist. I mean, well, and before that, without Ed Roth, this doesn't
Oh yeah,
exist.
yeah.
And then having Robert Williams as his art director, and then the stuff that Williams did both commercially. I mean, like making the Appetite for Destruction album cover that was too graphic to be used.
Yeah.
And
That was
like,
such a big deal.
yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And you know what's kind of crazy about it is it's like the Appetite for Destruction, like the cross thing is so iconic now
Yeah.
with them as the skulls. It's like, well, shit, what would the world would have been if instead of that it was the Robert Williams painting, which is terrifying and evil.
Yeah, it really is terrifying.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. But yeah, humor and artwork, always a fan.
Always a fan, and I don't do it enough. Obviously, I feel like I'm really starting to embrace it much more than I have in the past with these word paintings. Yeah, I've still been, I'm trying to keep moving, because I can, like I said, I'm banging these out. They're really easy, and I'm not gonna lie, they're really easy to do. But they're really fun. And in the meantime, I've still got figurative work on the canvas that I've been working on. There might be a couple on the Instagram you can see, but I'm definitely trying to maintain those two spinning plates.
At the same time.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
All right. So with that, like, what is your studio setup like?
Oh, so my wife and I recently moved to the country, and we've got the house was built in like 1846.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's insane. And in the back of the house, there's a structure called what was used to be called the summer kitchen, where they would cook in the summer to keep the house from getting 500 degrees, and then bring the food in from the summer kitchen. And over time, it just turned into a glorified shed, basically. But it's a great big space. It's not very tall, but it is certainly. I have a drawing room and a proper studio that I can paint in. Yeah. So I have enough space to do whatever I want.
And you can store stuff there as well. Like you got
Yeah,
rooms-
there are 3 rooms. There's a back room that I keep a lot of the paintings in. One of my own weirdnesses is I like to keep my work, especially more recent work, around me. It's I think it comes from apartment living and having to use my bedroom as the studio in my 20s and early 30s and stuff, and not having an extra room to paint in. So it's kind of a leftover thing. But a lot of my paintings are in the studio with me, and I'll drape them with cloth so that they don't get paint on them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But it's a big enough space that I can do that and move around in and stuff. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The idea of like you finally having that own space where you can store stuff and also just be able to move and not be cramped, because there is the thing about living in an apartment where it's like, okay, my stuff is close to me, but there's also something nice where you can leave stuff set up, you can come back to it later.
Right.
You don't got to worry about taking it down. You
I
got to put
don't.
shit away.
There, as we're talking about this, there are paintbrushes in water right now that I'm worried about.
No.
I totally
Oh
remembered
shit!
them just
Fuck!
now.
I gotta,
Yeah.
get this out. Okay, so well, as we're starting to wind down here, then I guess the question is this, because again, when you hit me up, you were like collecting styles. Do you see your work as evolving? Like, is all this stuff mixed together, or is all this stuff like compartmentalized and segmented, where you can like pick this one up if you want to, or pick this one up, but sometimes they all just stay on the shelf and you just do this one thing?
I don't know. I definitely feel like, as artistic styles go, it feels like evolving, right? But if a stranger were to find my stash of artwork and try to put chronological order to it, and get a language, a personal language from it, I don't know what would happen. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a entirely cohesive language to me. It feels like a lot of languages, a lot of different dialects and languages and things. And I'm not unhappy about that. I mean, I look at some of my favorite artists that have changed over time. Whether they're musicians or artists, they've always been my favorite people. I don't, you know, particularly care for, say, Jeff Koons as a human. He seems a little off-putting to me. But as an artist, he's not my favorite. But looking at his work as a whole, going from vacuum cleaners to the bunny is too, and everything in between.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens the same thing. If you listen to Bob Dylan singing "Blowing in the Wind" versus his work with, say, like the Traveling Wilburys, it's two different fucking worlds altogether, right? I mean, I like those guys. I like that feeling of points on a map as opposed to uh, a straight line from A to B, or from A to Z or whatever.
I think the evolution's fun. I think it's necessary. And I think it's just one of those things where, especially being an artist, it's like it's happening in time because, like, you're ingesting stuff in your personal life at the same time. You're learning new things, you're watching new stuff, you're influenced by different things, relationships are changing,
Yeah.
time is going forward. It just makes sense that your work would have to evolve with it.
Right. And it's important to me to acknowledge that very thing, right? To know that those changes are not due to the things that are happening in my life, but a part of that world as it progresses, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned spinning two plates forward, and I feel that too. Where I get stuck in a different way, though. I get stuck in this thing where I'm making stuff, and I'm like, well, this is the way I make stuff, but fuck, I hate. I want it to look like I don't want it to look like this. I want it to look like somebody else's thing because like what I'm doing isn't good or boring. But then realizing that also, well, this is what you make, like, and you can change it, but there's always gonna be a part of it that's gonna have remnants of what it is that you do because it's you.
Right.
So that's also just another, I don't know, it's a fucking weird arty thing.
It
where
is,
just-
and but that's a question I don't ask myself enough, maybe, and I don't have a sounding board for that very often, where I can say, do you see me, right, in this work from 2014, and this work? Do you know this is me doing this here, right? I don't know if I do that. I don't. And I don't particularly care, I guess. Am I trying to make a cohesion of me?
Well, yeah, and I think, and then that gets into the question of it's like, and I think for people, it's maybe it's a little easier explained through using music as a metaphor, but like having a band where it's like, well, do you want them to make your favorite album 20 times?
Right.
Or do you want them to evolve and change and take risk, but then maybe you don't like them? And, and sometimes that crashes and burns. Like, there's this metal band that I like called The Sword, and The Sword had like all this like really cool like Dungeons and Dragons-y stuff on like the first few albums, and then like the third album they got like kind of spacey, man, and I'm like, oh, this is great, like this is all shit I'm into. And then at some point, like as they evolved, they started like getting like way more like softer and chill. It was and it was just like, well, wait a second, this is not what I'm into. And eventually they ended up pulling the plug on the band, and I think it's because they were on this trajectory. I mean, they were like opening for Metallica at one point.
Yeah, I saw that.
And but then like after they kind of started changing the sound, I think they kind of started to shift, and it went away. And I'm like, man, like how the fuck do you be that band? Because it's like on one hand, it's like you're evolving and you think you're going in the right direction, but commercially and financially, it's not the right direction.
Right.
Your fans are telling you it's not the right direction. So then what do? It's just
Right.
like,
Do you just disband?
Do you stick to your guns and go down with the ship? Or
Right.
do you come out there and you're like, look, I don't really want to do this, but we wrote a new song about a fucking Minotaur and here we go. Like,
Right. We don't need 100 albums of Kill 'Em All.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess that's the thing too, to ask people that create things. It's like, well, do you want evolution, or can evolution into your end because you eventually get to the? Are we evolving as humans? Like, have we evolved to the point where like fuck it, you said your art theory, we can get out there,
Right.
like, so But what I'm saying is like, a mouse doesn't create a mousetrap, whereas like we've created atom bombs.
Yeah.
Like, has our evolution led to our future extinction? Or you look at that with like climate change. Like, has that, has our, like the what we did with the industrial age and everything that's come after that, has that now fucked us long term
Right.
for short gain?
It's a fine question.
I don't know, man. So let's do this, dude. Was there anything we didn't hit upon tonight that you want to talk about? Was there anything we missed?
I don't think so. I think I talked about everything I like talking about.
I had a great time chatting with you, man. It was way fun to just like go down rabbit holes and talk
Yeah.
art. That was a blast.
I'll do this anytime. Thank you so much for having me,
Yeah,
Tank. This has
no
been
problem.
a blast.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, let's do this. Let's finish up. Last question. What's next? Because I don't want to try and answer your own question for you, but you seem like you're a lifer at this point with this.
I am. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
And I always have been. There are thoughts always bubbling, I feel like, in my head about, what I want to do next. And I really do like making these text-based pieces. I'll let it run its course. I don't know how long my cycles are a lot shorter these days as I'm getting older, and I have been getting back to figurative lately, some more large scale figurative work, just like we started this whole conversation with looking at those big Picasso paintings. I think that that's where I might be headed.
Nice.
I've also got this really neat space where I live. I'm kind of at the edge of the woods, and there's some of our property has some woods on it and a creek, and I think that I might try dabbling with some nature-based art.
Is it Andrew Goldsmith? If I'm saying the right artist, but like he does like a lot of stuff where he'll do like stone stacking or like limbs and stuff, and will like arrange them in formations.
Yeah. Maybe a little darker than that, I think.
I'm gonna do some True Detective type shit. Nice.
I'm thinking more like some pagan ritual based stuff.
Nice.
I might even try my hand at some performative stuff now that I have the kind of privacy to do these things in the woods without anybody calling the police because there's a guy with antlers naked in the woods.
Got to get
something like
naked.
that. Yeah,
Number one rule of performance art. Got to get naked.
totally.
As long as you're naked, it works.
I think that's
all you got to
key.
do.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds awesome. Well, I like the idea of going bigger, and I like the idea too of also using the space that you have and doing some stuff and fucking with it and playing with it. And I think that, again, I think nature stuff especially is something that all people kind of enjoy, because just I don't know, I don't know how you feel these days living out where you're living, but I know when I go hiking, man, I feel really nice being out of the city and being away from the light pollution and the noise and the people. Like,
you got to come out to this space sometime. It's the stars are a completely different situation. I haven't seen them like this since I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it feels good to be in nature,
Hell
to be
yeah, man.
outside like that.
Nice.
The sounds are different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, you can actually hear shit.
Yeah.
Because when something happens, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Right?
Yeah.
I get mad if somebody's muffler's too loud now. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what? Turn that down. People live on this street. People go to work. Oh God, no. What am I doing? Well, look, man, it was awesome chatting with you. Can you plug your Instagram one more time and anything else you want the people to know about before we get out of here?
Oh, sure. My Instagram is Jason_Erler_art. You can find me there. I post pretty regularly. And that's it. That's all I do, man. Just make art. And
Are you taking commissions? Can people buy stuff through DMs? Like,
I'm a little skeptical of DMs.
Okay.
If you do DM me to buy art, I'm happy to work with you. But if you sound like a robot or something weird, I almost always I'll just let it sit. Sometimes I'm really bad at it. I might need a PR person.
listener, open with, I heard you on What You Into.
Oh, please do that.
Because then it automatically, not a robot. so living, breathing human being.
That'll work.
Hell yeah, man. Listener, you're going to find me at Neil to Know on Instagram. Same thing for the website, neiltoknow1.com. And man, Jason, again, just thank you so much for coming in. I had a blast. Listener, if you like art and you know a friend that likes art, share this episode with them. And hey, if you have friends in general, tell them about What You Into. Like I said, and we talked about earlier with the algorithm, sharing stuff online is great. I'm never going to say no to it. But at the same time, there's a lot of times where people don't see what's being posted out there, but a text or just having a conversation with a friend at a bar, a restaurant, a house party, and tell them about a podcast you're listening to and showing it to them on the phone does wonders for me. And they can check out the whole back catalog of over 100 episodes. I've interviewed people about various collections, hobbies, and fandoms. I'm sure there's something in there that they're going to enjoy listening to. So thank you for spreading the good word. All right, man. Jason, thank you so much. And listener, peace.